Hello, my name is David Cohen. I broadcast and am the chief broadcaster and presenter of a TV show called DJI TV Talk Radio. We're live streamed on Ustream, posted on Facebook and archived on YouTube. I'm here currently talking to Mr. Adrian J. Cohen, and he represents a company called ITS Pilgrimage. Please, would you like to tell us a little bit about your company, how you represent in Israel, and how you present Israel to the ordinary people?
Well, in the first instance, our company ITS stands for Israel Travel Service, and we started in '91, and in '93 we decided to open up our product to the Christian pilgrims. We started taking out pilgrims on we started taking out leaders, clergy. People who wanted to take out groups, we took them out on educational tours for 7 nights at very, very reduced rates. They got to know us, and after '93, it ballooned, and we are taking out many, many pilgrims, many thousands of pilgrims to Israel. And one of the reasons that we do it is to actually bring the Bible alive. It changes the perspective not only of the clergy, but also of the actual parishioner. It creates a fellowship. Because I'm at the Christian Resource Exhibition, I allow myself to say it's like a ministry. It's like saying, this is my calling in life, to bring the beauty of Israel to the UK clergy, regardless of denomination. They suddenly are talking about Israel, they're talking about Nazareth, Bethlehem and Jerusalem, and they can visualize it. And to be able to visualize it and feel it and see it and touch it changes their preaching. Because, let's be honest, if you don't go, you're actually talking about something and preaching something you don't know really. It's like trying to eat baked beans without ever tasting it. Try and explain that. It changes them. And I can tell you I've taken many of these tours out of clergy, and they've said to me afterwards, thank you. You have changed my life.
In what way would you say that the presence of your company has boosted the popularity of Israel and its awareness to the general international community?
Well, that question you've got to ask around about 50,000 people who we've handled. A lot have come back and they want more. On this very table, we have a tour going out next year where we take a bishop, 3 bishops, and they actually charter a plane. And this is going to be the 3rd time that they charter a plane load of pilgrims. Now, considering we're a small country, that's quite remarkable. So we have facilitated it, and it's been a dream. Really, for me and for my colleagues at ITS, really a privilege to bring Israel to the masses.
Do you think that with what's happening in the Middle East, particularly what's happening with Israel, that the interest on behalf of Bible believers, on behalf of those people who represent the gospel, has spiked or waned according to the events happening in Israel?
The beauty of a show like this, of an exhibition like this, it brings faith alive, and people will always want to know where it stemmed from, where it came from, the Garden of Eden, where faith was, where Jesus worked, lived and died. And it is important, therefore, that it will continue, it will never spike. As long as Christianity flourishes, people will want to actually go on pilgrimage.
Do you find that there are people who have made this trip, the pilgrimage to Israel, have actually used it as a springboard for maybe seeking the Aliyah and Olim for residence and living in Israel?
That's a very good question. Normally, to go on Aliyah, you should be Jewish. And we deal with the Christian community. But I do know of people who have actually gone on a group of mine and then have stayed on and spent many months in Israel. Aliyah, I think, is a little step too far and a little difficult. But I think at the end of the day, people who go to Israel with an open mind fall in love with it, and it becomes very, very addictive, and they go back and go back. In fact, on your left here is an itinerary of a Methodist minister who's there now, and who is going plan for another one, but with a different itinerary, not the mainstream. So there are many ways to look at the Holy Land, because in 7 days you can't see it. I've been so many times, and every time I learn and see something new and something different.
You stand as a very interesting person because your name is a Cohen, and obviously that's a Jewish name, and yet you're representing the Christian community as a Jew with a Jewish name with a company that obviously represents Israel. Do you find that this is an interesting major inroad to phase and connect the Christian community with the Jewish community in the world at large?
Now, the answer to that actually is the word that is used in Hebrew to call someone who is non-Jewish, and that is notzri. Notzri. Now, the word in Hebrew comes from the actual root of the word netzer, N-E-Z-E-R. And what is a netzer? A netzer is a branch. Christianity is a branch of Judaism, and therefore I'm very, very comfortable. And if we were here and we were speaking like-minded with people who were of other faiths, for example, Muslims, that is also a branch of Judaism. And if they want to go on pilgrimage to Jerusalem, we have tried actually to even facilitate that. However, Muslims prefer to deal with people from their own faith.
Now, if you was to promote Israel in a social venue, pub, club, or restaurant, and somebody was to bring you up and pick you up over the issue of Israel, how would you put forward and promote Israel to the general public awareness outside of a venue like this?
Well, that's easy. Just look behind me. You can see the actual posters that show Israel as a land of sun and fun. After all, I lived there for many years. I'm fluent in Hebrew. I served in the Israeli army. So I'm actually a dual national. And I lived there with the sun and the fun. I knew of the pilgrimage market, but it's a most fabulous country, and it's so relaxed. And to be quite honest with you, I prefer to walk through the streets of Tel Aviv at night than I prefer to walk through the streets of London. Because there's one thing that we don't do in Israel. We don't drink ourselves blind drunk. We're here, it's the pub culture and the drink culture. People get loaded before they go out. In Israel, if you have one drink, you're going to be uncomfortable with the heat.
I've noticed from my trips in Israel that Israel is actually classed as a family-centric society, and it is an element that attracts most people who want to seek the Aliyah and Olim to Israel. And I've noticed that also that a lot of Christians actually notice that it's a very family-centric society. In what way do you see that will be strengthened as time moves on and as Israel still gains its survivability in a Middle Eastern theatre of war?
Well, that's very easy, because you've got to go back to the Bible. And you've got to go to the Ten Commandments. And in the Ten Commandments it says, "Thou shalt love thy mother and father, and your days will be lengthened." You can say, how can that happen? Well, that's easy. Because when you look after your parents, your children are learning from you, and they will look after you. So just make sure that you look after mum and dad, because guaranteed your kids are going to look after you. And that's gone on for generation after generation after generation. And that will always happen if you follow the Ten Commandments.
This has been a fascinating interview, and I'm really glad that I've had an opportunity. Thank you very much, Mr. Adrian Cohen. And I look forward to being able to present this on Ustream, posted on Facebook and archived on YouTube. And I hope you have enjoyed this interview as well.
Thank you very much indeed. Definitely.